Welcome to Research Refresher, a series of video guides to help students who haven't written lately get back into the swing of things. I'm Dr. Gabe Sealey-Morris, and this is Lesson 1. What is an argument? It's important to understand that in an academic context, an argument really just means one thing. It means gathering evidence to prove a point. That argument might be persuasive, it might be antagonistic, it might be entirely civil. All it has to do is gather evidence and prove a point. The most important thing to figure out when you are going to make an argument is whether you have an arguable point. This is a mistake that many students tend to make. Your topic is not arguable. Your topic is just what you're discussing. And that might be something along the lines of the difference between Costco and Sam's Club. Students often make the mistake of thinking that a statement of fact is their argument. That also is not arguable. Costco pays its workers more money than Sam's Club, for instance. People may dispute whether that is true, but once the facts are shown, it becomes a statement of fact and is no longer something to be argued. Rather, an assertion, a statement of belief or opinion, is arguable. For instance, Costco treats its workers more fairly than Sam's Club is an entirely arguable point because the question of fairness is a subjective one that requires evidence to prove. Once you have an arguable point, you need to consider how an argument works. One of the most popular models of argument is the Toolman Model, developed by psychologist Stephen Toolman. Toolman explained that all arguments consist of 5 parts. The first part being the assertion. For instance, Costco treats its workers more fairly than Sam's Club. The second part, Toolman called the warrants, or the reasons. Costco pays its workers higher wages and gives them more benefits, is the reason that you assert that Costco treats its workers more fairly than Sam's Club. The third part, as identified by Toolman, is the assumptions. These are the ideas or beliefs that are lying behind your argument, but that you may not state explicitly. For instance, this argument depends on the assumption that pay and benefits can be a measure of fairness. Not all of your readers or audience would agree with that. Therefore, it is only an assumption. The fourth part of any argument is the evidence. Your evidence may be facts, it may be statistics, it may be interviews that you conduct, or it may be ideas suggested by other sources. The evidence is what you pull together from your research process to prove that your assertion is true. The fifth part, however, is the qualification or the limits. It's important to recognize that any academic argument has limits, and acknowledging those limits is an important part of academic writing. For instance, this example argument has a limitation in that it only considers financial issues, and not workplace conditions, duties, or hiring practices. If, for instance, Sam's Club had more diverse hiring practices, or better workplace conditions, then it would be possible to make the opposite argument, that Sam's Club treats its workers more fairly. Remember that argument is at the heart of academic work. All scholars conduct arguments. Even scientists who work in laboratories conduct arguments when they publish their work, or any time that they interpret or explain their findings. Thank you for your time, and look for our other guides on the JCSU Writing Studio YouTube channel.